We sure do have a WoW episode today. It's been almost a year since Blizzard declared war on add-ons. We had a full year of drama and community, infighting / discussion before Midnight launched. And when it finally arrived, many things were great. Many things were a bit broken. Of course, much that was broken was because Blizzard had to rush to replace all the things we needed and loved, like our cooldown manager, DPS meters, and boss alerts. Every class in the game was pruned and largely simplified for this new add-on-less world. So if all that happened, then why does the race to world first look like this? The war on add-ons is over, and a lot of people are actually now saying that, well, the add-ons won. That's not the only thing we have today. There's a giant stack of bugs, some of them are quite funny, a growing problem in housing, and an interview with Holly about World of Warcraft's future. So welcome back to the news. Let's get stuck in. First, I've got to say the race to world first was absolutely incredible. The secret phase reveal will go down in history, and that it happened on Easter Sunday was kind of hilarious. But if you were watching the Lura fight, you probably saw a lot of things you really shouldn't have. Like this memory game helper. You see, Lura shows marks in a certain order, and players have got to stand in the right order. Now the thing is, on Mythic difficulty, she splits players up, and she shows them only parts of the pattern, meaning that the different segments of players are supposed to communicate with each other to get the full answer. That's really hard to do in the time constraints. So, both Echo and Liquid made custom add-ons to display the pattern on everyone's screen. And given the design intent, it looks like some serious cheating. But it's actually a simple display. Players type what they see, and the add-on picks that up to draw the image. So it's not an autosolver or anything like that, and because of that, Blizzard gave them the thumbs up for it. Now I won't say it makes the fight a whole lot easier, but it is an add-on that solves the memory part of a memory game. So for counting score, I'm going to say Blizzard 0, add-ons 1. Just that that's only one of the losses, and probably the least important. Look at almost any Raiders UI in the race, and you'll see something that Blizzard explicitly said they wanted gone. And that is these text prompts. Back in November, Blizzard dropped a huge post on the UI development Discord, and one of the points was on simplifying names. Their stance is that learning spell names is part of the gameplay, not renaming them. Now, an important role in this fight is to hold these light crystals. So the player responsible has a massive bar on their screen telling them to check the crystal. And it goes away once the crystal is picked up. And that means it is now Blizzard 0, add-ons 2. And it's not just a race thing either. On Lura, the memory game is called Death's Dirge. But on most UIs, it's just called Marks. Not really flavorful. Echo and Liquid both have on-screen text timers with instructions, rather than spell names. And the thing is, you can do that too, because now it's a feature of bigwigs. So, let's update the tally. That's Blizzard 0, add-ons 3. And it keeps going. Recently, Mini-CC got an update allowing it to track allies' cooldowns. Now, it's not perfect. It actually uses a chain of loopholes and different conditions to figure out when a spell was used. But the end result is the same thing. Most friendly cooldowns are visible only if you use an add-on. That means the add-on gives you an advantage. One of the coolest parts of software engineering is working around constraints and coming up with crazy ways to make something work. The developer absolutely did that, and I do think that that is, pretty awesome. So, thumbs up to the dev. But let's keep going, because then there's X-Win tools and Blizzy interrupts, which both function as interrupt trackers. And that means it is now Blizzard 0, add-ons 4. And we should talk about this, because it means add-ons still provide a ton of competitive advantage. But the only difference now is that accessing that competitive advantage is a hell of a lot more complicated than it used to be, because of all the changes Blizzard made to, essentially, the things add-ons can access. So it essentially seems that Blizzard have effectively, completely and utterly lost the war on add-ons. It seems they've wasted tons of effort and tons of time, and they've ended up in a situation where many of the same competitive advantages can be gained by players, just that it's way more fiddly and complicated to access that competitive advantage. And that does seem like the opposite of their intent. But what if Blizzard thinks that's enough? Enough to say, put Ian on an aircraft carrier with a banner behind him saying, "Mission accomplished." You see, in our guild, very few of us use any combat add-ons. Not intentionally either, it just sort of happened. Most of them broke at launch, and so far, most of us haven't really felt the need to install them. Now, Blizzard's boss timers are not perfect, but they do the job by and large. The cooldown manager does need a lot of work, but it's enough to get by with. You see, now we've actually seen the raids, and it is obvious that the bit where Blizzard have done the work is with the actual boss design, and that's where I do have to hand it to Blizzard's developers. As an example, whenever someone is targeted, everyone can see it clearly, like with, say, Illyria's arrows or the dragon's dread breath. There are no complicated things to organize, and the mechanics resolve slowly enough that we haven't struggled. And it's the same in dungeons. The important casts are now marked by the game, and they're slow enough that you can see them and react to them, and you don't feel like you have to sift through 5 trillion cast bars all at the same time. It's not an accident that Mythic Plus 10s are substantially easier than ever before. Blizzard have simplified and slowed down the game, very intentionally. That's all to make World of Warcraft more approachable. But there is another angle to it, and that is defeating add-ons in a bit of a different way. You see, add-ons still offer a competitive advantage, and that's something Blizzard does not want. But outside of the very top end, that advantage doesn't really feel necessary. And if it doesn't feel necessary, well, and jumping through all the hoops to get it going doesn't really matter anymore. If you can play the game and succeed in your goals without add-ons, then why bother going out of your way to download a big complicated setup? So my gut tells me that this war isn't quite as one-sided as our little score counter earlier would suggest. But when we'll really find out is if Blizzard starts shipping more restrictions in patch 12.0.5, or if they're actually happy with where we've landed here. Let me know what your guild's experience has been, but with that said, gotta talk about that update. 12.15 will be one of the most legendary patches of all time, and I hope it is a sign of what to come. You see, when the patch drops, you'll be able to choose how you sheathe your weapons. Yeah, biggest patch of all time. You can put them on your hip, on your back, you can even hide them, and dual wielders can even choose them independently. So it actually looks like the new transmog system has more going on than we first thought. Now, we already knew from an interview months ago that Blizzard are working on personalization and customization as one of their next big things. But it's a huge project with loads of technical stuff behind it. Now, obviously, given the technical impossibility of blue tattoos, something might be up, and we've still had to wait a whole patch to get blue eyes. But there's a parallel here with transmog. They rebuilt that system, and suddenly, we've got loads of sheathing options. So they can do these things, but only when they take their time. And it's with that context that we now go to Holly's recent interview. Because if you're one of the people who has thought, look at all that shit the Ironeer get, why is my human sitting here with no customizations? Well, it seems Blizzard are actually committing to something here. Okay, I'll cut to the chase with this one. Holly had an interview with the official WoW community Discord, and we got some real good stuff out of it. When she was asked about what she'd do if she could wave a magic wand and just have it all done, her answer was actually more customization. That shows where her priorities are, but also where she's probably the most frustrated with limitations. And she gave a few examples that I think betray that further. High five emotes. High five emotes made to match player heights, as in the heights of your different characters. How do you high five another character when that character could be a gnome and you could be a tauren? And then there's one of the toughest things, hair and beards, which naturally led to one of WoW's biggest issues, hair under hats. Obviously, she didn't make specific time-bound promises, but she made it clear that it's something the team wants to solve. So if they're working on a long-term customization revamp, that is almost guaranteed to be part of it, just like how this transmog revamp has finally let us sheath how we want. Sounds like a euphemism, so let's move swiftly on to the next thing. Customization wasn't everything. She talked about a housing roadmap being in the works, she reiterated that social system changes are coming to the game, and that she thinks of World of Warcraft as a, quote, third place. Honestly, I think that is one of the things our societies tend to be the most lacking in big developed countries, and I think that is a brilliant thing for World of Warcraft to focus on. So thumbs up to that one. And by that, she means a place or a people to truly build community and hang out. That's fantastic. She talked about two other major things as well, class identity and WoW's future world. No promises, of course, but she made clear where they're heading. They're trying to get race and class fantasies to feel important again, though she didn't say how. And on the topic of the world, they are trying to focus on building it up instead of just expanding it. She didn't say it directly, but I think they're getting tired of slapping new islands onto the map. I think we're getting tired of that too. So overall, it sounds like Holly is happy, broadly, with WoW's current direction of catering to every type of player. But there's perhaps one type of player they should really stop catering to. I'm talking about scalpers. We had a lot of drama with the limited Pringles mount collab. I can barely believe those are words coming out of my mouth, and this is a part of my job. I'm talking about the Pringler angering people. How ridiculous, how silly, but hey, it's the modern world. And unfortunately for you and me, but fortunately for the scalpers, this kind of thing has happened again. Xbox partnered with Coca-Cola on a range of promotional Fanta cans, and they've made two mistakes. Mistake one was giving Xalatath the red strawberry one instead of the purple grape one. That's not really relevant here, because mistake 2 was limiting the codes. There are only around 40,000 of each WoW reward, and they're all split up across a 17-week-long promotional period. It's only just started, and the mount is already on eBay for $50. Now the thing is, we know this mount will come to the trading post later. It's not going to be as crazy as the Pringles mount situation, but limiting codes like this is adding frustration to an otherwise fun collab, and it's quite obviously giving scalpers an opportunity to come in and basically ruin the fun for all of us. That's not the end of the weird collabs, because they've partnered with Lodge to make a cast iron skillet. So I think we have to accept it. WoW really is a boomer game. I don't know about you, but I've hit the age where if I was able to get a World of Warcraft themed Dyson vacuum cleaner, I'd be thrilled. Same goes for the skillet, and that's why they sold out almost immediately. And interestingly, not just for the collab reward, the skillet does come with a code for the Cinder Kitten, which is a cheap pet that's been in the WoW store for years. Basically, people, me included, just wanted a skillet with the WoW logo on it that looked really cool. I get it, and apparently Lodge is a reliable brand as well. Now, last I checked, they were sold out. So all I can say is, well, lads, get more iron and get casting, seriously. We need these. I want to buy them, please. Well, that said, I now go to the most reliable part of the Warcraft news, which is how unreliable WoW has been. It's time for Bug Watch. Let's get the good news out of the way first. At rank 6 of the Delver's Journey, you can buy bonus keys. Now, there's a little quibble, which is that it seems they didn't upgrade it to work with the new key shard system, because people were basically just sending their undercoins into the abyss. Just deleted. Now, it didn't take long to fix, but people are reporting that they still have not got their lost keys back, so that's a bit silly. Time walking gear was broken as well, but in a bit of a minor way. While leveling, it was dropping gear higher than you can wear. That's fixed now, thankfully. But going to max level, last week's Mythic Plus wasn't really working for a while, as it turned out. That's because the Void Emissary summon from the Xalatath affix was despawning, leaving people very confused. Now, thankfully, that is also fixed. But players have noticed a whole lot more, though some of these will certainly be lower priority for Blizzard. As an example, the War Within is a little bit broken. Delves don't reliably drop Radiant Echo, so if you fancied going to do that achievement hunt, maybe hold off on that. And the same goes for crafting. You still need Valor Stones to craft some things, but there's no way of getting Valor Stones, because they've been deleted from the game. Not ideal, but compared to our last bug, it's a minor issue. And that last bug is the loot bug. Yes, the loot bug. You see, after an apparent fix 2 weeks ago, the forums are still full of people complaining that they are locked to specific loot slots. And they just keep on doing delves. And they keep on getting shoulders. Shoulders for days. A bag full of shoulders. And they keep on playing. And basically, if this has impacted you, your character's almost a bit bricked. And that does mean that, like, your progress in the end game of World of Warcraft is kind of broken, which does seem like a problem to me. Hopefully Blizzard takes that seriously, and maybe gives delves better loot tables in the future. But that's the current WoW news. Where we're looking into the future, though, is, well, quite simply, now that Midnight's fully released, it's basically time to settle into the groove of playing the game while we wait for the announcements. And on that front, I am expecting news very soon indeed, so keep an eye out. And in the meantime, you maybe will want to get an alt leveled. And if you do want that, we have a guide to do it in anywhere from 2 to 5 hours, and my own method, which is not between 2 and 5 hours, but does get you a bunch more account progress and progress on your alt. So check it out here.